All right, welcome to the video. I've downloaded Orchestra 4 Complete for $99. I always get the upgrades to the Orchestra because I found it so useful. It's big sound with low CPU usage, easy and quick to use. You can create your own presets and on and on. So I just find it a very valuable tool to have. But what is 4 doing different than 3? And right off the bat, I can tell you some of the differences that my ears are hearing is that the Orchestra Complete 3, the strings are fat, round, safe, and easy to use. Orchestra 4 brings in realism, detail. It's like layering on a solo string library on top of a regular string library. So you're getting that detail, that dynamic range. You're hearing the grit and that rosin on the bow. So you're able to keep both versions. And version 3, I still have my presets of version 3, and I still have all the multis there. And I think that's super important because these two library strings, and I've really just gotten into the string sound, are so different. So let's hear that now. Let's just fold up that. So now we're going to hear, and I've got my RTS system going to play some big fat chords, but the chords will be exact same chords for both. Mod wheel is set approximately the same. And that's important because in 4, that mod wheel makes a huge difference. It matters your voicing because now you can have 4 different types of voicing, change the sound completely according to these 4 different hotkeys. So you could be playing a pattern in 4 and have just a tremendous difference in that pattern, the way it sounds and plays. In 3, the pattern, you could get some different sounds, but you'd have to change the different articulations and, maybe switch to a different preset. But in 4, in one preset, you can get more sounds than maybe all the sustain presets in 3, if you kind of know what I mean. So one preset in version 4 seems to be far deeper, far more nuanced, varied, and dynamic according to how you have your voicing than 3. So enough talking, let's compare the two directly. Big strings, sustained voicing 4 against string sustained voicing 4 in 3. So RTS is going to play us some big fat chords, so let's listen. And now let's listen to that in 4. Again, 3. I just put 4 on top of that. And then alone. So if you want a richer, fatter sound, use both. Because I'm kind of getting the idea that having both of these are going to just blend together so well. Thick, rich, fast, and safe, mixed with high detail, grit, and energy. So if we play both at the same time, and now just 3. Now, it's quite an amazing difference, but it all depends how these things are voiced. I'm just playing the default type of idea. And now 4. So I would say some presets inside of 3 do actually sound bigger and fatter than 4. but overall 4 is a monster strings compared to 3. But to have them both now is just really good because you can just pull from either one or just layer them on top. So yeah, the depth of the strings in the orchestra has gotten way better. And that's almost worth the admit. I mean, really, once you hear 4, I can't imagine just going back and having 3. It just ain't going to work. So for me, it's like, yeah, you might as well buy it right now. And I would say they'll probably do what they've done in the past. And in a while, they'll give a whole bunch of new multis with version 4. So far, I haven't seen any multis for version 4, but I'm sure they'll do that. Or they definitely should. All right. So now let's go to just another one. Let's get a good understanding of the basic string voicings. And I'm going to just use this. So just the new presets will be here. So let's go to 1. And let's go to 1 here so we can compare apples to apples kind of thing. So this is their new default main big strings voicing. This is the old one, version 1 on both. Now we're going to listen to some more chords. Now this is very thin, and now this is TOC4. Now let's listen to 3. Again, a huge difference. And then together. Let's listen to a different voicing of 4. So let's go to the main page so we can see the voicings change if they have a different voicing for. So here's a different. So again, let's turn off 3, just listen to 4. Now let's change 4's voicing. Now let's turn off 4 and just listen to 3. So it's quite a big difference, and I'm just thinking that you could probably make this even bigger and fatter depending on how you voice it. So yeah, the Orchestra Complete 3 strings compared to 4 is quite interesting. Now let's go to some fast movement. So I'll try to do this. I'll do the same thing. Let's go to orchestral, or no, let's go to orchestral voicings, but a staccato. So this is going to use the engine of RTS, but you're going to be able to hear those staccato voicings in the new version 4 against the staccato voicings, and that would be version 1 in both now. So if we go to main here, string staccato voicing 1 in 3, and the big string staccato voicing in 4. And let me just change RTS to something a little faster so we can get a good comparison of movement here. All right, we'll start off with something kind of slow, and so we'll start in 3. And let me change that to. Okay, so we got some nice string action going, and you've been listening to the Orchestra 3. Now let's turn that off. And these are just the staccato notes. These aren't the engine. You're not hearing the movement from the orchestra. You're hearing it from patterns in my RTS system. And then we'll compare the other using its engine. So these are just the raw staccato notes, hearing the difference in the strings. So again, because I babbled on there, I like to hear direct comparison. So again, 3. Okay, same pattern in 4. And there's too much reverb, so I want to compare them because I've turned on the reverb in 3, so I'm turning it down. So just to get apples to apples, let's go back to main. So big, fat, high dynamic sound with a lot of detail. Compared directly to 3, same pattern. 4. Both together. I mean, there's too much reverb there with the two mixed together, but if you go in there and turn down the reverbs of both and layer them, and are careful how you and then if you go to here and change the voicing to something different, if they have it. Not all of them seem to have major differences in voicing. Let's focus on 4 here. Okay, so by default, the string staccato voicing 1 doesn't have built-in voice changes, but you can do it easy. So let's do the first slot. Let's change it up and turn on extra voicing on the highs and lows, so another octave up of extra layer. Let's go down an octave to get some of those low notes. And let's listen to it in 3. So in this case, it's just 4 is blowing the doors off of 3. Again, you might want to layer them to get just the kind of, what would you say, soft edge of 3 and roundness to this bold dynamic range of cutting staccato sounds. So really different libraries now, which is good. The last thing I wanted to have is strings that were similar. So the main thing is, in fact, I would say that I wouldn't have even been disappointed of the strings if the strings in 4 were not just as good as 3 and not, super better, but different. As long as they're different, that means you'd be able to get more out of the library. But I think in this case, we got only different, but much better defined and bold. And you could just draw so many different presets out of one preset here, so to speak. So again, let's go back to, we'll start at 3. But this time we're going to go to orchestral rhythm in both. So orchestral rhythm. And in this case, we'll go with just the default. All right, so strings basic eighths. I think we all remember that. So now the same first dynamic rhythm, orchestral rhythm in Voices of Fury should be up here, but it's different. So we don't have just single eighths, at least. big strings chasing. So the names is a little different, but I'm trying to get the comparable to version 3. I would say the 8th Fury strings, because that's what they're called, the Fury strings, rhythms in 8th, and that's in an 8th. So I would think that would be a pretty close comparison. And not hearing anything. Oh, because it's muted, obviously. So first we're going to hear 3, and then we'll hear 4. And just to be clear, I need to go back to simple triad. So I'm going back to a simple chord, and then we're going to hear the engine in 3. Okay, very simple little scale movement in triads, but we hear the engine of the strings inside of 3. Now let's go to 4 and mute 3. Same chords. So what I hear immediately is so much extra detail. You can actually hear the string on the bow going back and forth, almost like a little tremolo. But these aren't tremolo, by the way. I checked out the tremolos. They're gorgeous inside of the Orchestra 4. But you're even getting some of that. You can hear the bow on the string. And then if we go to try it some different voicing. Okay, this is interesting. They've actually changed, and you can see the different envelopes and ARPs here, I believe. Can't click on them, but I believe that's what's happening. So not only can you change the voicing, but you can change the movement in each one of these 4 fast keys here. So and when you turn this button on, I believe it adds an extra layer, 1 octave up, I believe. So let's just try that. Let's solo the first one. Add that layer. Yeah, so it's definitely adding something higher up there, an octave. So you have a lot more control, a lot more interesting possibilities for even one preset in 4, which I like. Now, I'm going to turn up all this time. I've just had the mod wheel at a little above 50%, so maybe 58%. Now, this I think will make a huge difference. And we can turn both of them up to get more action there. We'll try to do it comparatively here. But I know the mod wheel in 4 is more important than ever because they just made it. They've made every string and recording of the strings, I think, in a way that they had the mod wheel in mind. So it's not just a matter of kind of turning up a little dynamics in 3, but in 4 it's like to really push things and get it edgier. So let's listen. So very thin, you might even say a little brittle, but oh my goodness, can you hear those strings? And inside of a multi-tracked musical idea, you often you don't want the string detail to get lost. So Mixing it 2 is probably a really great idea. Now let's listen to 3, turn off 4. So you hear how safe it is, how round. It's big, it's fat, it's safe, and it's round. That's what my ears are hearing. And it's nice. I've always liked the strings in 3. But let's add the 2 now. Yeah, so for me, just hearing the 2 together and being able to layer them like that, to be able to go the detailed route with dynamics and flexibility to get all kinds of range out of 4, or go to the more safe, rounded sound of 3, or to be able to mix them. So this is my first quick look at the new Orchestra Complete 4. Just looking at the strings. Of course, there's so much more. And we'll be taking a look at that, including how we're going to be able to play that inside of Rapid Composer. I think there's some really great possibilities ahead for us. So stay tuned. Give it a like if you like what I do. Hope you're able to make music today wherever you're at in this big world. And we'll see you on the next video.